Hello and welcome to Regionally Speaking, where we are gathered in the studio of Legacy Communications in East Cleveland, Ohio. We are focused on Case Western Reserve University's Social Justice Institute, and joining me for what we are calling a family affair are East Cleveland residents, Em Lavora Perry, who is a freelance writer, photojournalist, and editor, and her daughter, Nia Perry Richardson, and her son is with us in spirit. He wasn't able to join us today, Jared Perry Richardson. All of you, the three of you, took training and are participating in the Voice and Action Project. How did you learn about the project?
I learned about it through Dr. Rhonda Williams from Case Western Reserve University. She's the founder and the director of the university's Social Justice Institute. And I can't remember exactly how I found out about it specifically, but I know it was through her. And, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. All right. How did you find out about it?
I found out about it through my mother. And I became interested in it because of the issues that were going on in my own community that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm. And what were some of those issues?
The poverty level and the degradation of the schools. I'd seen it go down since I was in about 6th grade. And I left and I went to a school outside of the city, but the schools in my own city were not capable of providing the education that I wish I could have gotten from East Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's fair to the people that live there or to me. Mm-hmm. I do live there, but it's not fair to the kids who maybe didn't know about other opportunities they had in other school districts, or they just couldn't afford to go to a private school.
Mm-hmm. And what about the school that you are going to? Tell us about that.
I go to a magnet school in the Cleveland Municipal School District. It's called MC Squared STEM. And I am a PSOP student, which is a post-secondary enrollment option student. I take classes at Cleveland State, which count for my high school education requirements and general education requirements at the college. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll go back to you now. How about what you do in your work as a writer? How did that work into your decision to become involved with this? You heard about it from Dr. Rhonda, as we call her, but then where was the connection made for you?
Between my writing career and the project? Mm-hmm. I can't say that I made a direct connection. I liked the project for the simple fact of wanting to do things to help further, advance East Cleveland. And there's just so many goals that the Social Justice Institute has that resonate with me personally. And I think for a long time, ever since I was really actually younger than her, I felt like I really wanted to do something to change various issues. At that time, it was the war. And there was, civil rights. And there was always some issues. And I just never really felt like I connected. I really did what I felt like my heart wanted to do. So this, the Institute gives me an opportunity, and that project gives me an opportunity. And also lately, really marrying my career. I've been working with the Neighborhood Voice newspaper, which again, gives voice to the people in not only East Cleveland, but our neighboring communities.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to speak on behalf of your son. Tell us about him and how he became interested. You brought the whole family into this.
Well, yeah, my son Jared is 14, and fortunately I don't have to speak on his behalf because I called him, and I can tell you exactly what he said.
Oh, good.
I asked him why he wanted to get involved with the Voice and Action Project, and he said he wanted to learn about the community and the people and how the community has changed over time. He wanted to learn from the people so that he could be involved in rebuilding the community and not remake mistakes that have been made in the past.
Mm-hmm. And if he were here, I would ask him the same question that I have asked you and your daughter, and that is, what is there about this young man that would have moved him in that direction? You raised him, so
Well, it's his mother, of course. But I don't know what he would say to that question. I know that I have tried to involve we have another daughter who's 13, and we tried to involve them in opportunities to make their immediate environment better and to make the world better. So hopefully that's been rubbing off. So,
But what about where he is in school?
he goes to the Cleveland School of the Arts. He's been there since 7th grade, and his major is visual arts. So he's really advancing very well and is a visual artist. And he also is involved in a project called Mural My Neighborhood. And this is his 2nd year doing that, where a advanced artist, a master artist, mentors children. And then they're in the process of doing that now, creating a mural idea that will then be on a building in one of the urban areas. This will be, I really don't know where the mural will be this time, but the last one was on Miles and 130th Street.
Now, back to you again. We just heard about your brother and his musical interests and inclinations. What about you?
I've really taken to dancing over the past few years. I used to play the violin, and I used to draw. And I still like drawing, but playing the violin was more something that my parents wanted me to do. And I always thought that I was terrible at dancing, but then I actually took a class, and it's ballet, so I don't know how to do hip hop or anything like that. But I'm good at ballet. So.
All right. Well, now you've told me about how you became interested in the project, but then how did you communicate that to your children so that they became so interested in it?
Well, I just really, like with everything, hey, there's this opportunity I'm not sure what words I used, but I explained to the best of my ability what they could do. And then sometimes had to say, well, just come and you'll see, and then if you like it. So I think once they actually went to the first meeting, I didn't have to sell it. They were in at that point.
So what was that first meeting like?
I just, like I said, I didn't have to push it after that. They wanted to do it. When just seeing other people caring about our community and seeing the opportunity to do something to, real work in the community, I think that's what excited them. But, you were there, so.
You were there, so tell us about it.
The first meeting I can remember is when we began with our CREC training. And I think that's somewhat different than what we did, like, a couple of weeks ago. We had a seminar, like the first seminar where a bunch of youth got together, and it wasn't just adults facilitating the discussion. It was more the youth were more involved because we had more people that knew about the Social Justice Institute. And with the CREC training, we were training to be we were training to be
to know how to interview human
we're
subjects for
training
research.
to be interviewers for human research. And from there we were going to go into the community, interview the people on the community in East Cleveland, find out what their concerns were, and then begin to implement change based off of their concerns. And so with the seminar that we had a couple of weeks ago, I feel like it was just empowering for me because even though I've been a part of the Social Justice Institute for a while, there haven't been as much youth as there were at that time. So that's the first time I actually saw definite progress, I guess.
And what about the other ways you've been involved with the Social Justice Institute? You just referred to that. You've been involved with other things with the Institute? Or that's what I thought I heard you say, no? This is your first encounter with working under the auspices of the Social Justice Institute?
This right now? No.
No, so that's what I'm wanting you to talk about.
Oh, what do you?
What else have you done with the Social Justice Institute?
It's pretty much the two main things I can.
Those are the
think of.
two main things.
Yeah.
You've done. Okay. And Lavora, the same for you, or?
Yeah, I went to, there's a regular meeting that goes on for East Cleveland, and I have attended a couple of those meetings, but I've really been bad about going to the others. And a big part of that is, between work and then wanting to be home when my kids come home from school. So, that's why I really am excited about this project, because I can be like a roving participant.
Oh, well, this doesn't exactly pertain to like what we've done within the Social Justice Institute, but I did tell my school about it, and I told kids in my school about it, so I'm going to make flyers for that. I've got a couple of teachers that I told so that they could tell the students, and then they told me to come back with like flyers, and they'll help distribute them so that the word gets out. So that's something that's not something that was planned, but I just, I think everybody should be involved in it. So
I would like to be there and hear how you do that. How do you get your friends interested in doing something like that?
A lot of people are already interested in doing this type of work, especially teenagers. I found.
You mean in your community or in your school?
In my school more so. I don't, I guess I participate in my community, but I don't really know that many people in my community, actually. So, yeah, not where I live. I mean, it's not, I know a few people that are like, I hang out with, but then it's more, if I'm doing something in the community, it's probably like for, doing gardening or something. I did that, or volunteering, but I don't really know that many people around me, and I want to be able to connect with more people around me. But a lot of the kids in my school, even though they don't necessarily live in East Cleveland, they still live in impoverished communities. It's not it's a public school. It's just a magnet school.
I'm going to ask you again, speaking on behalf of your son today, how is his engagement with others coming about?
He has his friends at school centered around the art that he does. And one of his best friends is someone he met who lives in East Cleveland. They grew up together when all my kids used to play violin. So he was the first to drop out.
He was?
He was the first to quit.
Oh.
But yeah, the other boy is continuing and actually is really good. He's just really a phenomenal violinist now, and he's in Nia's grade. So Jared and he have a really tight relationship. And then there's his buddies from school. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like this is really, truly a family affair. You've all seemingly inspired each other, and I think your good works are something we're going to talk about when we come back from the break. But let's take a break now, and then we'll be back soon.
Thanks.
We are in the studio of the Legacy Communications in East Cleveland, Ohio, and we are talking with East Cleveland residents, Lavora Perry and her daughter, Nia Perry Richardson, and through his mother, we're learning about her son's involvement. He is Jared Perry Richardson, but not able to be with us. Well, in this part of our talk together, I wanted to open with this question. What is the training like that you are receiving in this preparation for this very, very significant task that you have set out for yourselves? Lavora?
Well, the first thing we did, like Nia said, was have CREG training, which is cases training for researchers involved with human subject research, so people who are going to be doing research on people. And that was very interesting. I learned a lot. I learned how that kind of research is conducted. It's helped me as even a patient. When a researcher asked me a specific question, I said, I don't want to answer. I knew I didn't have to. I was like, I don't have to answer that question. So it was very helpful. What was really interesting, and we had to be tested. We had to take a test. The test was on a computer, and you could keep retaking it until you passed it. And then when you pass it, you get a certificate online that you can download and print. So, all three of us did that.
And what was the test like, though? Describe that.
It was on the material that was covered, and we had people come in and go over the material with us, so we weren't just reading it blindly. But it was very detailed. One of the things that stands out in the very beginning of the material was the Tuskegee experiment that took place with African American men being purposely not treated for syphilis. That went on for so many years, and how that ultimately led to ethics in research, rules being established in terms of how you can conduct human research. So that was one of the things that jumps out at me about that. And like I said, also people at any point in being a research subject can decline to participate or can decline to participate in certain parts. The person always has those rights. So I learned, I definitely learned things I didn't know. And I think, but like I said, what was most interesting for me was what came next, which was learning, although that was nice knowledge to have, but learning just some ideas about going out and doing the kind of research with people or interviews with people that we're going to be doing.
And what kinds of instructions were you receiving in that regard?
And how to talk to the people. It wasn't so much instructions. It was more like how opening yourself to hearing,
listening,
and recognizing where you might not have a point of reference, and just understanding that this person's coming from a totally different world than you know. And being open to hearing what that's like, and not assuming that you know what it's like, or trying to compare it necessarily, point for point to some experience you've had. Dr. Jessie Baginski led us through that portion of the training.
The preparation and the training for doing that. Yeah, I think that's critical.
Yeah.
That determines whether or not you're going to succeed in making that person comfortable.
Right.
Talk. All right. Yeah. How about you? What was your experience like in the training?
For the CREC training, it was, I guess, for the CREC training, basically, we, like my mom said, we went through a lot of material, and then we were tested on it, and it wasn't, I didn't feel personally connected to the material necessarily. I mean, it wasn't, because it was like a online test. But it's necessary to know the information to be able to interview people in the community respectfully. And as for the training that she's talking about with being able to, it was like interview people further. I didn't take that. I didn't have that training. But just being involved with the Social Justice Institute in general has made me look at my community and look at people in my community and in other communities a lot differently. Because growing up, even though I didn't necessarily we had always been taught to be proud of the type of people that we were and who we were in my family, but I had preconceived notions of other people and of myself based off of ideas that society had given me that I didn't know were there. And being involved with the Social Justice Institute, even though it's not exactly training, it's allowing me to look at people in a different way so that I can relate to them and so they can relate to me, and not thinking that it's got to be this way or that way, but that parts of the truth exist in everything.
That's a valuable skill. To acquire such a skill is quite an accomplishment. How do you feel you did with it?
I feel like it's a learning process that's going to continue for the rest of my life. So, yeah.
Well, what do you think in general of this whole project? The
Voicing in Action project?
The Voice in Action.
Excited about it. I'd like to, I want to get started for one thing.
Right.
And yeah, we'll see, to see what happens once we start gathering these. I suspect, that every interview will be different. So, but at the same time, I don't know. But I am really looking forward to just doing it because it's been a long time since we first started the whole training process, to now. So.
Mm-hmm. And how are you going to be matched up?
I don't know.
No, it's going to be.
Oh no, we actually we were able to just say who we knew and who we'd like to interview.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll be starting. If you turned in a list, then I'm assuming you'll be able to talk to those people you listed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the way you're about to lift off on this very exciting project? You feel?
I want to become more involved with the Voice in Action project. I feel like I've been a little bit more partial towards the Power Up type of conference that we did, even though that was the first time it ever happened. But I do definitely think it's necessary to become more involved with the Voice in Action project. But I think I need to develop that relationship with the person that I'm interviewing, the interviewee, so that I can understand why. I understand why it's important, but so that I can, have a real life example of how I'm helping and not just an idea. So I do, like she said, I want to go forward with it, and I really want to start with the interviewing process.
Well, you've made a distinction, and I'd like to have you talk a little bit more about Power Up and the youth conference. Can you do that? Fill us in on that. You attended?
Basically, at the conference, it was the first time it ever happened, and it was a bunch of youth assembled together in a room, and we had a panel of speakers, and then from there, we were randomly assigned to breakout sessions, and in those breakout sessions, we decided what we thought a major issue in society was dealing with an oppressed group of people. And then from there, we went back out and listened to this panel of speakers. We had food and all that. And then we came back, and at the end, we all talked about our ideas and discussed, the groups basically just discussed what they thought was most important about what they had figured out in their breakout sessions.
Can you share some of those with us?
There were my group was dealing with education and equitable education regardless of where you live and your race or your status socially. So that was one.
And what some of the others? Can you give us a sense of what else might have been a topic that...
I can't remember, honestly, off the top of my head what other groups. But I wrote down a lot of notes from what other people said. So, but I can't remember off the top of my head what their ideas were. What their issues were.
What do you think is the future of those kinds of conferences? You like them?
Conferences?
Power Up.
Hopefully will lead to us actually taking action and doing something. I mean, the conferences, it's nice, but, eventually we're going to have to create a plan, stick with that plan, and carry it out until it's taken care of and until we see an acceptable progression. I think that we just have to continue to make change, basically. Even it's going to get harder as we go, but we will have to continue, and that's the only way that we will be able to succeed.
So are you learning about ways to make change happen? Are you gaining those skills?
Yeah, I'm gaining the skills again. I mean, since we haven't really started yet, in my immediate life, I still recognize I can start with myself.
Yes, excellent.
So, I've just really been trying to understand people and recognize that, yes, like my mom said, I don't know exactly what someone else is feeling. And I can't even say, if I was feeling this way, what would they do? I just have to say, I just have to look at it as this is how this person's feeling, and however valid or invalid it may seem to me, they have the right, just like I have my right. So I'm starting with that, and I think that allows me to move forward in a way that's not angry. Because I think when we're dealing with these issues, anger works initially, but then after you recognize that there is a change that needs to be made, it's just going to be a setback because it'll get in your way. So.
Can I just pick
Yes,
it back
please
a little?
do.
I was at the conference, and one of the things that I took away from that was just a feeling of, because mostly it was young people, was a feeling that, finally there can be some change. Because we've been on to me, like a roller coaster, down, just like, when is it going to hit the bottom? We've just been going down since I was a kid. And we really do need the power of young people who are awakened and want to do something. And that's what I felt like. And I just wanted to say, in terms of the Voicing in Action project, along with Jared and Nia, there are 3 girls who go to Shaw High School. And I think that's all the young people, it's those 5. But the idea that they are, going out and being a part of this project in East Cleveland is that's hope in and of itself to me.
Yes. I think that if you think your son wouldn't mind you telling him, notice something in the way he is functioning these days that lends hope for his role and what you've both spoken about so eloquently.
Right. Not, he's my son, so we've got other issues going on. But I can say that whenever somebody's in trouble, Gerald will stand up. Even, he's bigger now because he's been exercising for about a year. So he's actually, I'm surprised. I'm like, wow, when did that happen? But, he's a small, skinny kid, tall, but 6'1" and thin. But he will stand up. Once he rode his bike home from school and somebody tried to steal his bike. And, he just said, no, you can't have it. These were 3 guys. If I would have said, give him the bike already. But he, stood his ground, no. And finally, he just threw it down. And I don't know if they were frustrated or what, but they just said, forget it. And they walked away and let him keep his bike. And to me, that kind of bravery is something, under pressure, is something that he continually, displays.
He's just growing.
Yeah.
Well, any closing comments?
I would just like to say thank you to Dr. Rhonda Williams because she really she provided the gateway for the youth, I feel. Like, when I talked to my school about it, I told them about how she made this possible for us, and she's allowing us to be the ones who actually get it done. And I think that's really important that she's recognized for that.
I agree with you, and I'm so glad that you said it in the way that you did.
Well, I just third that. We're very fortunate to have this in our city, and I think it's going to be replicated, around the country and the world.
I hope so too. Thank you both very much, and please extend my thanks to your son, and you can tell him that you did a wonderful job of expressing his views as well. Thank you both very much for being together with us and on Regionally Speaking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I thank Legacy Communications for housing the production of this program today at East Cleveland Landmark. Thank you.